Good afternoon, everyone. I, Unnati Yadav, welcome you all for the technical webinar series under Aspire on tires for futuristic vehicles. Let me brief about Aspire first. So, Aspire is an initiative of a Ministry of Heavy Industries, MHI, Government of India, to promote innovation and to develop the relative ecosystem. To facilitate the initiative, MHI through organization under its aegis is creating technology platform for various sectors. Aligned with the recommendations by MHI, International Center for Automotive Technology has launched its e-portal named Aspire, which is Automotive Solution Portal for Industry, Research and Education. We hope that this webinar will serve as platform for the fruits of innovation and new technologies in the field of tire testing. We'll have 50 minutes of presentation and 10 minutes of question and answer at the end of the presentation. So if you have any question during the presentation, just write them in the chat section. We will take the question on your behalf after presentation. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker for the session, Mr. Renzi Isaac. Mr. Renzi Isaac, currently working as Vice President and Head of Research and Development Technology India of SEAT Limited. He started his career as tire engineer and has more than 30 years of experience in product development, OEMs, and manufacturing in India and Europe. He played a key role in shaping the passenger radial tire development in Apollo Tires and currently heading the SEAT Research and Development Technology for India. He has European patent in tire design and has a few pending patent applications in India and publication in SAE and other international magazines in his names as well. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for that nice introduction. So first of all, I would like to thank ICAT for this initiative and also this opportunity that is given to me. So let's start straight. You are able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Can you do in a presentation mode, please?
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Okay, so the topic for today is basically tires for futuristic vehicle. So if you look at the history of wheel, Sumerians invented this somewhere in BC 3500, 5000 years back. And since then, the application has undergone significant change. 1 minute. Let me. Okay, so transportation methods have undergone big changes since the time. Initially, the wheels were used for transporting things or for easy movement. And then, if you look at this picture, things have changed a lot. And so today, if you look at the current situation, we are living in an era where the mobility is taking a complete different definition. These changes are basically because of the evolution in technology, climate changes, changes in lifestyle. There are many reasons that are attributed to it. Recent COVID-19 has its contribution as well. Now, the next major issue that we are facing is the climate change. And this is already, we know, we are living in the news related to this is very active in the media, and it's a reality. It is staring at us. And we need to optimize, and transportation being a major contributor for this greenhouse gas effect and the climate change. So we need to ensure maximum effectiveness, minimum utilization of energy, and least impact to the environment in the days to come. So there are a lot of things happening in this area. So hence, to understand the future tires for the futuristic vehicle, first we need to look at what is it there, what are the drivers that are bringing these changes first. So key drivers, there are a few. As I told, environment is becoming a major issue. Environment and sustainability is the one of the key driver. So we just completed the sequel to the Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement in 2015, 196 countries came together. And then they came out with a common program, common agreement that we will reduce the we will bring the temperature rise well below 2 degree, and we should stop it at least we should hit 1.5 degree by 2050. If you look at this one, if you don't act anything, so by 2100 temperature will go up by 4.5 degree, and practically entire thing on the earth can get wiped away, living things. So this agreement also helps countries' ability to deal with impacts in the climate change and support in their effort. If you look at the transportation industry alone, it's around 13% of the global carbon emission is coming from transportation industry. And if you want to achieve this temperature control by 2050, we need to practically by 2035, between 2025 and 2035, we need to actually control the whole thing into a certain level. So the budget or the carbon dioxide emission that we need to reduce by this time is around 45 gigatons. It's a huge amount of actions that we need to do. So on the right side, you can see, we can see if you don't act, what will happen? If we act, what will happen? So optimistic scenario, all those things we can see on the right side. And we convert this into actions, this 45 gigaton into action. So to achieve this, by 2035, more than 95% of the vehicles should be net non-zero zero emission vehicles. So practically that means you will not see any petrol or diesel cars. And in the meantime, we need to leverage the potential of transition technologies like hybrid vehicles and more efficient in internal combustion engines. And it's not only that, we also need to reduce the travel and reduce the vehicle miles travel or optimization of mobility by vehicle sharing and all such kind of things, and increase the share of renewables. It's not only that, in manufacturing, there's a lot of supply chains that is involved. This also needs to become this also contributes to the overall emission that also we need to cut down. So this 45 gigaton, how it is going to be controlled? So the supply chain plays a first major role. It's around 5 gigatons. Then another 5 gigaton by low carbon fuels, renewable electricity, etc. Optimizing the mobility, then another 5 gigaton will come down. Then comes this usage of the transition technologies like hybrid vehicles or more efficient ICEs, then another 10 gigaton, and then finally through zero emission vehicles, the last 30 gigaton. This is a huge amount of reduction in the emission, and also a lot of activities. It's not only activity; it's a lot of if you convert this into business, it's a lot of business also involved. So today, if you look at a vehicle, if it's not only applicable to US, it's applicable to India also. Most of the time, our vehicles are sitting idle because people who are working, we come here at in the office by around 9 o'clock and we go by around 6 o'clock. Between this time, the vehicle is not used; it is underutilized. So going forward, this is going to, especially with the new generation, people don't want to own anything on a vehicle or something, and this is leading to something called a purpose-built vehicle, purpose-built car. So instead of going for an expensive car, so it can be really a cost-effective and a purpose-built vehicle, which can, on an average, the study shows around the 25% reduction will be there if you go by the in the emission if you go for the purpose-built vehicle. And the consumer behavior is also changing. This consumer behavior is impacted a lot by the COVID. If you look at just a study by Deloitte in India. So if you look here, COVID-19. If you look here, the kind of this one, the people have changed the kind of vehicle they are planning to buy. So most of the people, because of they want individual mobility, so they are looking for a less expensive vehicle. And there is a lot of interest that is coming in terms of hybrid or battery. 28% of the people said they are ready to try hybrid or a battery vehicle. And everyone, unlike other countries, one interesting thing is people know they need to recharge the vehicle at home. 63% of the 63% of the people are expecting they will recharge the vehicle at home. Now the other thing is people are also ready to evaluate new technology. So if you look at these two colors, so close to 70% of the people are ready to pay up from 25,000 to 1 lakh rupees for a new technology, and some people are even more. So people know the benefit, and people are ready to experiment. So if they, I wouldn't pay anything more, so that fraction is very small. Now, if you look at the our bigger cities, like any bigger city, take Delhi or Mumbai or any other cities in India, one of the major issues is the traffic condition. Even in a city like Baroda, where I live, evening traffic is a real problem. So I stay in a place around 60 kilometers from my home, work in a place which is 60 kilometers away from my home. 45 kilometers I can drive in 30 minutes or 40 minutes, but for last 15 kilometers it takes for me an hour, more than an hour. So this is the data from USA from 1982 to 2011. So this shows from 1982 until 2000, this time, this is billion gallons of fuel. It's around 3.8 billion gallons of fuel is lost only because of the traffic jam. And when they convert this into this reduction is basically because of the recession that happened in 2008. So this is not representative. In the Texas, the loss in Texas alone is around 78 billion. That's what they say. And convert the lost the time that is wasted due to due to congestion is equivalent to 105 million weeks of vacation or fully paid, fully loaded super tanker. This is the 78 billion. In addition to this, we need to add to the loss due to the time that is wasted in that place. So in the future, the cities will become more sustainable through intelligent transportation system. Intelligent transportation system is a holistic traffic management approach, and this ensures there is no traffic congestion and the traffic will move freely. So this also ensures improved fuel efficiency, reduced emission, etc. So in ITS, in the intelligent traffic transportation system, everything will talk to each other. Vehicle will talk to the infrastructure. Vehicle will talk to each other. Vehicle will talk to private. Vehicle will talk to all infrastructure and the agencies so that everything can be optimized. A very well coordinated real-time data information makes traffic movement, parking, and all forms of urban mobility smarter and more efficient. And this is going to be a multimodal transport. So it can be somebody will use bus, somebody will use car, somebody will use a cycle or walk. So in this, you may ask, what is the role of time? If you look at this, what is highlighted in the in the red portion, autonomous vehicles, connected vehicles, real-time travel information. So this is an area where time is going to play a role, and we will see that in the coming slides. And again, when it comes to the city centers, in most of the cities, you will not be able to take your vehicles inside the city. Some of the major Indian cities, or especially in Europe or US, it is difficult. It is not allowed for the vehicle to enter the city center. Normally, you need to walk. And this is an area where micromobility is coming into picture. This micromobility is either electric or it can be human powered or electric powered, which cycles or the battery operated skateboards, scooters, cargo bikes, rickshaws. All these things are possible. and speeds can be up to 25 to 30 kilometers. But this micromobility cannot be on or a car or a moped which are using fuels. So it cannot be internal combustion engines. It can be battery operated, or it can be basically the concept is to use a zero emission vehicle. So it can be walking smaller distance. People will walk longer distance. People will use some of this micromobility equipments. This is already in place. If you go to Europe, you can see such things, skateboard and other things people are using for such kind of a. If you convert the whole thing into this one, we can see some 5 major things. Maturing powertrain technology, so battery and fuel cell electric vehicles. This is offer better fuel efficiency, lower emission, greater energy diversity, and it allows new vehicle designs. Lightweight material. So again, resources are limited. We need to use lower, consume less. Then consume less means we need to recycle less material. So here it is it leads to the development of stronger and lighter materials, so that it will reduce vehicle weight without sacrificing passenger safety. One of the major issue with battery operated vehicles is the weight of the battery is high, so the overall weight of the vehicle is going up. So by developing such lightweight material, we still will be able to reduce the weight of the vehicle, which leads to a longer range of the vehicle. Rapid advances in connected vehicles is third major observation. So it is the vehicles will be fitted with the vehicle will talk to vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle to vehicle, and other communication with the government agencies, etc., so that it can allow the vehicle to operate independently. Shift in mobility preference. This is another major this thing. The younger generations they do not want to own anything, so they are ready to pay paper use. For example, Ola and Uber are picked up very fast, which got stopped because of Corona. Otherwise, in many of the cities like Bombay or Delhi, people have actually sold off their car, especially 50% of the Gen Y customers. They would like to use their phone app to get their transportation, get the vehicles that they can move. This allow not only they don't need to invest on a vehicle, but during that period they can also do some other allows them to do multitask. Emergence of autonomous vehicle. This is now a sci-fi. So it's already started operation in many cities around the world, and it's only a question how it is going to be adopted in the rest of the place. And if you look at the future, when you're looking at all these things, we can see some 10 major mobility trends. They are autonomous driving, Internet of Things, everything is connected, electrification, mobility as a service, micro mobility, artificial intelligence, smart infrastructure, big data, augmented reality and virtual reality, and 3D printing. So the new mobility is going to be connected, is autonomous, shared, and electrical, or it is known as CASE. And another acronym that is coming is EC. So up to other than Y, everything is same, but then Y stands for returnable or renewable. If you look at the evolution of the vehicles in this direction, so we have the conventional vehicle, which is practically will be stopped manufacturing. The companies will stop manufacturing these conventional vehicles in the next few years. So many companies have announced, okay, from such and such date onwards, we don't make any more IC engines. Then we have the next generation is hybrid, which doesn't need any plug-in, but it will get charged during the running itself. But there are some disadvantages: less power, heavier weight of the car, etc. So one of the very typical example is this Toyota Prius. Then comes plug-in hybrid. So this helps to improve the fuel efficiency. And then comes plug-in hybrid. In the plug-in hybrid, batteries are charged with an external power supply. This allow the vehicle to operate at a longer range using battery. So the fuel efficiency will be much better, especially in places where the emissions can be critical, like in city centers or closer to the city. So there you can run on battery, and when you are out in the highway at higher speeds where the fuel efficiency, where the engines are operating at much better efficiency, that it will turn to the IC engines. And then comes the latest, the all electric vehicles, environmental friendly, low maintenance. It is promoted and supported by the government. The only challenge that we have is lack of charging stations, short driving range, and it's heavy. But in the days to come, we believe that the battery technology and the vehicle technology, etc., will improve, and we will see a much more efficient vehicles. And parallel to that, there is a lot of work that is happening on the hydrogen fuel cell. See, the current issue with electric vehicles at the moment is the charging time. Whereas if when you move to hydrogen fuel cell, charging time is not a problem. It's also absolutely environmental friendly. Emission is basically water. There's nothing else. So we'll have to see which one is going to emerge as the final winner: all electric vehicle or the hydrogen fuel cell. And many companies are already decided to ban IC engines. India has announced 2030. We need to see how it is going to happen. Now, if you look at the electric vehicles registrations are increased to 41% in 2020 worldwide, despite pandemic. Whereas the IC engines, we can see there's a drop in drop of around 16%. So it is not only, if you look at this first graph shows the country-wise country-wise registration. China leads in this, followed by Europe and United States. And this also, it's not only in majority of these registrations are happening in passenger vehicles, followed by the buses are also going to be another major thing. In India, if you see, the two-wheeler and three-wheeler are becoming electrified much faster. So unlike the other rest of the world, we will see a faster adoption of electric mobility in India in the two-wheeler and three-wheeler segment. Now, what is the impact of this on tires? So the tire is having the rolling resistance of the tire is having a direct impact on the fuel efficiency of the vehicle, or when we talk about battery operated vehicles, the range to which it can run. So lower rolling resistance is a requirement, and there are no engine in the vehicle, so there is no noise that is going to come from the engine. So the cabin will be absolutely silent. So that means what you hear from the outside is going to be the tire noise. So the tires needs to be lower in noise. Battery vehicles are heavier in weight. So, and also the initial acceleration, the torque of these vehicles are much higher. Sorry, much higher. So the tires needs to withstand this. Will be able to carry this load, and also you should be able to withstand the higher torque. So that means instead of, it should not wear out faster. If it is wearing out faster, then we are also creating one more pollution in the pollution. So it's challenging. So we need to have lower rolling resistance, lower noise, better wear resistance, and lower carrying capability. And then finally, so it also needs to be aesthetically appealing. So that means we also need to work on new kinds of design concepts. Okay, then when you talk about autonomous driving, here there are different levels of ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance System. So normally, as per SAE, there are 5 levels. In the first 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3, the human driver is present. You cannot in up to level 3, human driver cannot is a part of the system. So the difference is going to be at what time the person who is sitting behind the steering wheel is going to take the control. Most of the vehicles at this moment, especially Tesla and all, legally they are at level 2. Practically, some of these vehicles are at level 4. But legally, they are licensed to homologated for a level 2 automation. So some of these are like autonomous level 3, it's highway pilot, traffic jam pilot. So in level 2, basically the adaptive cruise control or the lane change warning system, all those things will come. In level 4 and 5, it's basically at level 5, it is completely autonomous, like a robot taxi. So people would like to people will be at level 5 or 4, people will be able to do many other things while working, while traveling. And by 2040, we estimate this one 66% of the total vehicle, total kilometers traveled will be by autonomous vehicle. So this is basically for the private use. Then basically it's used for all applications. And next thing is, it's not only autonomous, the cars are also going to be connected to each other. So here again, there are 5 levels of connectivity: general hardware connectivity, individual connectivity, preference-based personalization, multi-level, live interactions, virtual chauffeur. So by 2030, 45% of the global new car sales could have at least level 3 or above connectivity, the preference-based personalization. So when we talk about the connectivity and autonomous vehicle, why are you talking about tire? That must be something you may ask. So when the vehicle is becoming connected and autonomous, tire plays a key role. Tire becomes an integral part of the vehicle control. Sensors in the tire sense the health of the tire, because you cannot have a puncture, you cannot have a failure while the car is running. So even if there is a failure, the sensor should be able to sense this failure and take proactive actions. It should be able to sense the surrounding environment, monitor the weather predictions, etc. For example, in European conditions, especially during the summertime, you will see all the 4 seasons in the same day. You are driving, all of a sudden you will see rain, or sometimes even you can get snow. So if there is a change that is happening in the environment, the tire will sense this, and then the sensor in the tire can give a command to the processor in the car. Okay, I'm sensing this many issues, the surrounding like this, and then it can reduce the speed, alter the this ABS setting, or alter the EPS setting. So the tire will act as an active role in making sure there is a safe passage of the vehicle. So this is seamless. This is not going to be a it will happen it will be a seamless connectivity between the vehicle and the tire. And next thing what we told is the shared mobility. So this is not anymore a science fiction. This Waymo robotaxi is already there in it's running in USA. Then Domino's is having pizza delivery through Ford vehicles. So going forward, so people will stop buying cars, because it's already between 2019 and 2017. There is a reduction in people buying cars. This is high income without children, high income with children. In all the cases, we see a reduced percent of owning cars. So once this such type of shared vehicles or the robotaxis are in place. But what we can see is there will be a shift in awning, and once this is becoming autonomous, the tire plays a key role. And there's a lot of research that is happening in this area. This is Center for Connected and Autonomous Vehicle in Coventry University, UK. Now, when we look at the whole thing, now what are the tires for the future vehicles? How does it going to be look like? The tires for the future vehicles are going to be connected, sustainable, and autonomous. So when you talk about connected, the tires will have a inbuilt sensor which will talk into the vehicle, which will talk into the cloud, which will talk to the owner. It is sustainable. It is the materials are sustainable, 100% recyclable. It is going to be lightweight. It's going to be efficient because it is going to deliver more than the current products. It's going to be retardable, and it is going to be low rolling resistance as well. We will see all these things in the slides to come. And when you talk about autonomous, we discussed, it cannot afford to have a puncture. It cannot afford to have a failure. And even if there is a problem, it should be able to repair itself. Or the last option is you remove the air itself from the tire. It will be an airless tire. So some of the examples are given here. These are there are many concept tires which I have not covered here. Some of these tires, they has a potential of becoming mainstream product. That's only I have shown here. So Michelin has come out with the concept called UTIS. UTIS is an airless tire. So why it's an airless tire, we'll talk in some one of the following slide. So airless, so it is there is no problem of air loss or any other issue. It is rechargeable, so that means it can be 3D printed. Once it ready over, it will be 3D printed, or what they claim is it can be 3D printed to the application that you need. So for example, winter today in Europe, they keep two sets of tires. Tire for the summer tire and a tire for the winter tire. So by around November, people will change to winter tire. By around March, people will change summer tire. So instead of changing, we can go to this designated locations, and then you can print that readout. It is connected. It is 100% sustainable. It's made from biosourced and recycled material. Same way, Continental came out with the Conti Sense and Conti Adapt 2-3 years back. So here the sensor senses the tire puncture or the health of the tire, and the driver, the owner or driver, will be able to take actions based on the feedback. Conti Adapt is another system, depends on the condition. It is able to adjust the inflation pressure. So as you can see in this in the footprint chain, depends on the weather or depends on the surrounding. It can change the footprint. For example, if it is raining or there is water, so the footprint can be changed so that the water drainage will be faster. So if you see that you are driving over sand or something where you need a larger contact, so it will adjust the inflation in such a way that the footprint is increased. So these are the two things. This were already displayed in some of the conferences. And then next thing is connected. So there are a few of these things are already available in the market, like Michelin Track Connect or the Conti Connect or Pirelli Cyber Tire system. So this is not TPMS. This is beyond TPMS. These are separate sensors inside the tire, and there's a software which runs which collects the data from the sensors, analyze the data, and based on which it allows the operator, it allows the driver or the owner to take the decision. This is also being used in commercial vehicles, So for example, to monitor their movement, to get the best out of the service. So tires are becoming tires are becoming as it's people are no more, many of the people are no more buying tires, especially in the commercial tire. So instead they are taking they are getting into a model in which it is paid per use. So okay, I need tire, I wanted to use it for 5,000 kilometer. Okay, you give me a tire. So then there's a contract. For this 5,000 kilometer, I will give you maybe 50 paise per kilometer for the next for that 5,000 kilometer, or 10 paise per kilometer, whatever it is. So it is good for the person who is taking that service, but for the one who is providing service, you need to ensure that the vehicle operates at the best, the tire operates at the best possible way. The inflation needs to be monitored, the surrounding needs to be monitored, and if there is a failure in the tire, that needs to be sensed in advance so that it can be changed. Because if there is a since this is offered as a service, everyone wants the service to be seamless. So there is no stoppage because of puncture or tire failure or anything. So the tire is continuously sending the information to the one who is providing service so that he is able to take the right decision. So in India also some developments are happening. So maybe we'll see in the days to come. So these are the some of the examples. Why we need to maintain inflation pressure? So if the inflation pressure is maintained, we can extract the the much better life of the tire, and fuel efficiency can be improved, and also uh, the operations will be much more efficient. And we have seen when we started this presentation the importance of sustainability. So there is no planet B, not plan B, planet B. So we need to work towards sustainability. If you look at the UN definition on sustainability, it is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. This is an important statement, meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. This means you are not allowed to consume anything which will not be regenerated within your lifetime. So that means so many of the things that we do today are not sustainable. So we need to look at sustainable ways to manufacture, sustainable way to develop product, and sustainable, and anything that we are using or developing we should be able to recycle, and we will be able to, if once it is recycled, you need to consume that much less material only from the future generation. So this will lead to, and there's a target by 2015. Tires needs to be 100% sustainable. So there is a lot of work that is happening in the usage of this material, recycled material, devulcanized rubber, reclaimed rubber, thermal rubber, reverse silica, carbon. There's a lot of work that is happening, and there is something called United Nations came out with the Sustainable Development Goals, and tire industry also came forward, and then they have created their own identified the sustainable development goals which are applicable for tire industry, and then there are 8 of the SDGs are identified, and there are some 7 initiatives that is happening that are happening across the world, and across the world in three areas under 3 headings. 1 minute, I'll tell you. Under 3 headings. One is on supply chain, operations, products and services, under the 3 headings. And tires are going to be better, durable, and longer lasting tires. That means either in the first life or in the retracted life. And bio-based materials, it is regenerated within its lifetime. Some examples can be silica from rice husk. Silica today is manufactured by from the chemical method, natural silica, and through chemical method, precipitated silica is manufactured. That is not a sustainable silica. So, but silica from rice husk is a sustainable item. And the advantage of this is we are not fighting with the food chain, but we are actually supporting that food chain. And natural resin, synthetic rubbers from natural sources, etc. And there are going to be stricter management of end of life cycle. Even Government of India is coming with a set of programs for the for collecting the tires and recycling it. And this work is going on between Atma and Government of India. Some of these concepts, Michelin Nuptis is a green concept. Conti has come out with Conti green concepts. So it's basically a renewable recycled raw material, lightweight material, and so very interesting projects are happening in this area. For example, the water bottles, what we are seeing that Coke bottles, they are all coming from poly PET, polyester, and those things are getting converted into tire cords. Or polybutadiene is made from wood chips. Or the other thing is the styrofoam cups. What we use, the used styrofoam cups are recycled and depolymerized, and then finally converted that into SSBR. So all these works are happening towards this sustainability. And in the immediate, what is happening today, the rolling resistance, because again, rolling resistance is an indication of the fuel efficiency. So in general, the rolling resistance tend to become a lower rolling resistance. This is one of the product that we are selling in the Europe market. So rolling resistance reduction, higher RRC label values itself is going out. Government of India is also coming out with a labeling program. We will hear in the days to come. And this more and more chemicals coming into REACH. Once the chemical is coming, REACH is basically hazardous chemicals registration. So the moment the material comes into REACH list, so we will not be allowed to use it. That means that will be no more produced or no more that will be used. So this also leads to existing products will become no more competitive. Oil demands are changing. So it leads to upgradation of products, new introduction of products, etc. We are coming to. So the next thing what we have said in that was non-pneumatic tire. Why non-pneumatic tire? So when it becomes autonomous, so this is an autonomous tractor, this is an autonomous car. So we said we cannot afford to have a failure. So we need to either create a system in which it can take the system itself will sustain, or you remove the air. So this is all the non-pneumatic options, non-pneumatic tire that are these are still in concept stage or some evaluation stage. So there is also one more thing. So there is a study conducted by Michelin which shows 20% of the tires sold across the world is removed before it reaching its life, mainly because of uneven wear or any damage or puncture, and air loss leading to the removal of tires early from the usage. So this is a huge amount of tire, 200 million. So if we can remove that air from the tire, so this 200 million tires can be saved. So this is one of the motivation for Michelin to come out with this concept tire. And then there is another again, it's self-repair. This is self-sealing tire. So if there is a puncture, the sealant inside the tire will automatically seal the puncture. Today in Apollo, we sell this two-wheeler tires in India under the name Puncture Safe. So you have Conti, Pirelli, all these people are selling the in the European market. I'm not sure whether it is available in India, but Seat sell this in consistent in two-wheeler in the market. This is again another concept tire. This is basically cup wheel from Galileo. It's an interesting product. So we will see this. There is no air inside, and currently this is used in farm. So I will just run this video. Just see. I will stop here because it's already 3:20. So I'll go to the next one. Okay, this is the mechanical wheels. This is currently being evaluated. It's a recent introduction. This is Galileo. This is global air cylinder wheels. This box on there are these air cylinders acts as the springs, and it has polyurethane tread blocks. And since there is no air, it is not going to fail. This is what they are claiming. 100% recyclable because it's basic. Mostly it is metal parts, except that polyurethane surface. Safe to use, no overheating, no blowout, lowest cost of operation over its period. This is one. Basically, what I have seen is this is mainly used in the mining application. This all of you know the NASA spring wheels are made of nickel titanium. So this is not because of the spring, but it's because of the metal property of the metal, the shape memory, and because through that concept, this regains its shape and it lasts. So maybe we do not know. Tomorrow it may come into it may come in our normal application as well. Sorry. This is the another concept. This is spherical wheel from Goodyear, and Citroen has come out with a skate concept. It's a very recent one. So this is the skate. What you sorry, what you see here is the skate. This skate will move, and skate can have any of these things on the top. So skate can move inside, lift it, and move. So for example, we can see one video here.
Beginning of time. But what if we had more time? Time to enjoy good times. Always running after time. Times are changing. It's about time. The Citroen skate. Autonomous and intelligent electric skates that move about dedicated lanes. Skates that dock with your chosen pod.
So the customer can choose the pod, which pod he wants to take.
Multi-purpose skate. Shared and available 24/7. so that everyone can make the most of their time. So that autonomous mobility, so that time spent traveling is no longer wasted time.
The concepts are good. This is still in concept stage. We do not know when it is going.
Autonomous mobility.
Sorry.
Autonomous and intelligent electric skates that move about a dedicated lane.
So the evolution of the tire is on because of the changes in technology. So let's make mobility safer and smarter every day. So that is the making mobility safer and smarter is the purpose of CEAT. So let's do that. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Hello.
Thank you, sir, for your excellent presentation. It was very precise and relevant presentation. So now we have received some questions from our delegates. So we'll take few questions on their behalf.
Yeah.
First question is, how do you think India is ready for high wear rates of tire in case of electrical vehicles due to high torque, while tires wear rate is already high due to road and weather?
See, we may not be able to. We may not be going to use the current tire for the electrical vehicles. It's going to be different. So these new tires that are going to come are going to are designed in such a way that they will be they will have low noise. They'll be able to withstand the high torque, and also it is going to deliver a higher life. So the current tires will not be the tires you will see in the future. So that's what I was telling in one of the slides. The existing products will go off the market.
Thank you, sir. Now the next question is, when we talk about future sustainability is important. So how much tire recycling is done in India? Is there any data or a portal?
Yeah, there's an interesting data. It's India is at there is a study that is conducted by Deloitte in 2017 or 18. India is one country where 80% of the tires are recycled. India is the country which has the highest amount of recycling happening in case of tire. It's very interesting, and we were also proud to see that data.
Thank you. Now we are taking our last question. Is tire industry have any plan to cut down raw materials import for making tire prices consumer friendly?
So as a part of okay, it's a tricky question. As a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat, government is doing a lot of things to make technology, the machinery, and technology, machinery, testing capability, all those things local. Okay, so there are a lot of things that are going to happen here, but some of this raw material is going to be proprietary, which we need to depend on foreign suppliers. So that some of it will continue, not all.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So we are at the end of webinar on tires for futuristic vehicle. So I once again thank Mr. Renji Isaac, invitees for actively participating in technical webinar series. I hope knowledge shared by speaker will useful for development in the field of tire testing. We'll share a feedback form with all of you. Your feedback will help us to improve further during next edition of technical webinar. We look forward to your participation in next session of this webinar series. So I, Unnati Yadav, on behalf of International Center for Automotive Technology, say goodbye to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.